Oh, hey, I bet you didn't know I could crochet. Just like you didn't know how valuable the NetworkChuck Academy is. We've got practice exams, videos that won't put you to sleep, and an amazing community that'll help you get further in IT. It's pretty awesome. Now back to crocheting and back to the video. One of the main reasons people get hacked is they install applications that should not be trusted. An app that might look safe, that looks fine and harmless. No, that thing was written by a hacker, and it's doing something behind the scenes you don't even know. Thankfully, Windows does have a pretty solid security feature that prevents us from installing apps that are not trusted. Now, what do I mean by trusted? Who trusts it? Let's talk about that. Here in Windows, let's get back to device security. Device security, don't know why I said it like that. And here we're gonna be talking about the app and browser control. As you can see, right now, I'm pretty secure. I got that green check mark. Do you have it? I hope you do. Let's jump in there real quick. Now, the first thing we're gonna talk about here is the reputation-based protection. Microsoft has a list of app publishers it trusts. And what that means is every app you install on your computer, they have a creator, a publisher, Activision, Electronic Arts. And if they're on that list and they created that app, Microsoft has no problem with you installing that app. But if it's like Bob from Bob's Fishing and Tackle trying to get you to install some fishy looking program, I didn't mean to do the fishy thing, but it kind of worked. They're gonna go, hey, we don't know, Bob. You probably shouldn't do that. And it will warn you, it'll prompt you like, hey, are you sure? So if you try to install it, it'll go, hey, are you sure you want to install this? And you can allow it. By default, it won't allow you to do that. Now let's jump in there. We can change these settings like all Microsoft settings, reputation-based protection settings. Now here we have more than just application stuff, but that's the first setting we see. Check apps and files. The Microsoft Defender Smart Screen. It's like sunscreen, but for bad apps. Checks for unrecognized apps and files from the web. In addition to all that, it'll do Smart Screen for Microsoft Edge. So if you are a Microsoft Edge user, it's gonna protect you from going to malicious sites and downloading malicious things. That's a good thing. And actually, the Microsoft Edge browser is pretty good now, so I encourage you to use it. And then finally, phishing protection. It'll help protect your Windows password from malicious apps and sites. And what it might do is if it sees you typing your password, the same one you use for Windows, into like a really sketchy site, it'll prompt you to go, hey, you just shared your password with somebody bad. Change it, please. So it does that kind of thing. That's what a phishing attack might entail. And you can toggle on these additional settings like, hey, warn me about password reuse. If I reuse that Windows password for something else, which you're probably doing, aren't you? You're doing that. Don't do that. And also check to see if you stored that password in plain text in like a text file somewhere on your computer, which you shouldn't be doing either. Is that what you do? Do you store your passwords in plain text in like a text file? Stop it. And then scrolling down just a bit, we have potentially unwanted app blocking. Kind of doing the same thing as we mentioned before. It's looking for a low reputation, apps that like don't have the best reputation, like, hey, I know that guy is up to no good, might do some unexpected things, might go a little crazy, so they're gonna help block that. And if you install things from the Microsoft Store, which is actually pretty good, it'll look for things in there too. Because yeah, there can be some bad things in Microsoft's own store, I've seen it. Many hackers have demonstrated like, okay, this app we just installed is totally insecure. So that so far we've covered is just the reputation-based protection. Now we also have kind of a redundant feature here, and it's not redundant because it's kind of new, but we have smart app control, and they're trying to get better at doing the reputation-based protection. This is more cloud-based, and they're trying to learn you and see if you like this type of protection. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, let's jump in here. You'll see. I'll jump into Smart App Control settings. And right off the bat, do you notice anything? Well, I'm in evaluation mode, and it's gonna do that by default. It's gonna sit here and learn you. It won't block anything yet, but once it figures out that it might be of help to you, it'll automatically switch on. And if it spots a malicious or untrusted app, it'll block it to protect your device. It's relying on a lot of cloud data it has. It's always learning, think AI, and according to Microsoft, it's just more enhanced protection, and who doesn't like that? Now, if you can turn it off if you want, but it can't be turned back on unless you reinstall Windows. So don't. Unless you have a really good reason to, unless you're like a developer and you want to turn it off. Now, two more things we're going to talk about real quick. One thing is really cool, but you may not be able to do it, and it's called isolated browsing. It's not installed by default. You'll have to install Microsoft Defender Application Guard. But what this will do is essentially create another computer inside your computer and launch that browser inside that computer. A little sandbox is what they call it. So if you were to launch something gnarly, bad, it can't hurt your main computer because it's isolated, but it does require some resources and advanced things for your computer. You should try it out. It's pretty cool. And then finally, we have exploit protection, which is gonna help protect you against bad stuff. Malware, exploits. Exploits being things that can exploit your computer. It tells you right here out of the box, your device is already set up with the protection settings that work best for most people. What they're really trying to tell you is, hey, don't touch this, because it is pretty advanced. And you'll see what I mean. If I jump in here and I click on exploit protection settings, easy for me to say. A lot of big words here. Control flow guard, DEP, ASLR, bottom-up ASLR. We're not gonna cover all these. Then you have individual program settings. These are advanced settings that are meant to protect you against what malware, malicious software might do, some attack vectors. And that's way too advanced for what we're talking about here. Just know that that's gonna help you, and don't touch it unless you know what you're doing. And that is the app and browser control security features on our system. I'll see you in the next episode where we'll talk about device security.
Oh, you're still here? If you want to see more great IT courses just like this one, go to academy.networkchuck.com. Link in the description.